Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is Friday night. It is 7 p.m. I am back from vacation, and that can only mean one thing. We are back to our weekly 1 hour live streams. Now, we're not going to be doing History TV tonight. As you know by the title, we're going to be doing something a little different. So, a couple of notes on that. History TV will be back next Wednesday. So there it is. Wednesday, I might have that date wrong. I think it's the 11th. Yeah, I got that date wrong. It's not December 12th. It's December 11th. So let me get rid of that. And let's edit that. There we go. So that's more like it. Yes, Mark. Well, hey, Mark, Max, Karen, welcome. Joining us on the shelf this week, the Olympians. As you guys know, that was always something, a dream of mine was to have all the Olympians together on the shelf. That dream is now a reality. So anyway, one more thing I want to get into before we get into tonight's topic. Oh, Matt's here. Matt, what's up? I haven't heard from you in a bit. What's been going on? Hope everybody, where are my manners? Guys, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a good Thanksgiving? You're going to see in pictures what my Thanksgiving was like. So I hope you all had a great week. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. So having said all that, and before we get into the topic, I have something to show you guys real quick. Something came in the mail today for me, and I'm going to show you guys what that is. Max Thanksgiving was good. Mark Thanksgiving was good. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Let me show you guys what I got. And I have to actually get out from in front of the camera because this box is humongous. Check this out. Here we go. Let's see. Can I angle this right? There we go. The Kobe RMS Titanic, guys. It's 1 to 300 scale. You can see the box is flipping massive. So for comparison, look how big the box is compared to the shelf. So once this thing is complete, I don't think it's going to be able to fit on the shelf. I may have to come up with a different way to display this thing. There's just one thing, though, about the box. And we got to put the box on the back side so I can show this to you guys. And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but look at the picture right there. You should be able to see it well enough. Kobe, I don't know what you guys are up to, but that's not Titanic. Can you guys see this picture well enough to see what ship that is? Look at that. Can you guys see what ship that is? That's not Titanic. It's not Olympic. It's not an Olympic class ship at all. Let's see if anybody can figure out what ship that is. It's an ocean liner. And Mark, you are correct. They put a picture of Aquitania on the Kobe Titanic kit. So, yeah, a little error on Kobe's part. But, you know, guys, I've seen this model in person, actually, at the Kid Museum. By the way, they have a video premiering right now. So when we're done here, go hop over to the Kids channel and watch their video. Park Stevenson, executive director at the Kid Museum, built this model and with several others, and he's got them in a little display case at the museum. And I've seen the model in person. Actually, it's a really, really nice model. And it's a little expensive, but it's half the price of the Lego Titanic. So that's why I decided to go with that. So having said all of that, I'm going to go grab a quick drink, and we are going to get into tonight's topic. And the way we're going to start on that, let me pull up a picture here. Let's do this. And, share the screen, dummy. Let's see. Share the screen. We need this. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to go grab a drink, which will only take a second. Be right back. Okay, so as you guys know, Thanksgiving week, I was on my first ever cruise. And let's see. Mark, cool, there's an Army football game on. Is it Army and Navy? Is that tonight? But anyway, first ever cruise, guys, on Thanksgiving week. That is the ship that we went on. It's the Carnival Spirit. The ship was built in 2001, or I believe her maiden voyage was 2001. For the historians in us, she is 81 feet longer than Titanic and 14 feet wider. She would also be larger than the Imperators, all three of them, for just for some historical reference. Mark, Army and Tulane. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So, fun facts about the ship. Now, let's go over to our next picture. That is obviously me, and that is the captain, Captain Sal. That is the captain of our ship. We got to meet him a couple of times throughout the voyage. But on to our first images here. So this is from our parking spot at the cruise terminal in Mobile. That's when we just got out of the car. We're on the uppermost deck of the terminal. And that's kind of like a panorama of the ship. She's a smaller ship in comparison to all those giants like the Royal Caribbean ships, which you are going to see some of the Royal Caribbean ships in these photos. But one thing I heard from a lot of people that were on this ship that have been on the larger ships was a lot of them actually prefer the smaller ships because there's just less lines for everything. Sure, there's not as much stuff to do and not as many food options, but they like the fact that the lines were smaller. Matt, you want to see? Let's go back to my picture with the captain. Matt's asking, you put on dress clothes or is that a green screen? It's actually a backdrop behind us, and we are really dressed like that. Yeah. I actually put on slacks and a button-up shirt. It's probably Matt and I know each other in real life, folks, and that's probably the first. This might be the first time he's ever seen me dressed up, because dress up is something I don't do. So anyway, here's another photo. This is us leaving Mobile Bay. For some of you, I think some of you actually watched the live stream. I did live stream us leaving out of Mobile Bay. And let's zoom into this photo and look what is right here, guys. Look at that big, beautiful beast. Everyone should know what that is. Think about it. Mobile, Alabama. Yes, Mark. Yes, there it is. I see Alabama, the mighty A. It was funny. Some of the people were talking about it. They noticed the Alabama, and they're like, look how small it is compared to this ship. And in my mind, I'm thinking, one salvo from that ship, and ours is going to be at the bottom of Mobile Bay like that. So she may be smaller, but you don't want to mess with the mighty A. Let's see what else we've got from Mobile Bay. So here we're getting away from the land. You can see that's the wake that the ship is making. Of course, I'm at the very end of the stern on the very top deck. Karen asked how many decks. There were 12 decks total on the ship. Now, of course, the two uppermost decks, they don't run from the full length of the ship. You know, it's like observation decks and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the wake that we're creating leaving Mobile Bay. And we're getting into Key West. So this was extremely interesting, guys. When we were in Key West, we happened to stumble upon a park in Key West that we could see our ship from. And this ship is a museum ship in Key West. It is the USCGC. I got to type that out. U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Ingham. So I'm putting the name of the ship in the chat. USCGC Ingham, United States Coast Guard Cutter. She is a museum ship. Very, very small, actually. It looks pretty big in this picture, but it's actually a very small vessel. We could not tour the ship because the ship was not open. But I did manage to take a little flyer from the ship. And let's see. There you go. Get it in focus. United States Coast Guard Cutter Ingham Memorial Museum. 200 feet. Let's see. They've got some stats on here, Mark, and I'm going to read off those stats real quick. Steve is here. Hi, everyone. Hi, James. I can only stay for a few minutes, but wanted to check out and say hi. Welcome, Steve. Glad you could come and hang out with us for a minute. We're actually looking at a museum ship right here, Steve, that's in Key West. This is the U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Ingham. I'm going to read some quick stats on her. I had this flyer that we took. We could not tour the ship because we were in Key West on a Monday, and they didn't open until Tuesday. So they were closed on Mondays. So she is, excuse me, 327 feet long. She's got a 41-foot beam, 15 draft. She is 2,712 tons, powered by two 6,000 horsepower steam turbine engines. She has a top speed of 20 knots, standard speed 15 knots, max range at standard speed 8,000 nautical miles, crewed by 150 peacetime, 200 wartime. Restoration is an ongoing project. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Served for 52 years. In World War II, she performed 31 convoys across the Atlantic, sinking German Nazi U-boat 626. In 1944, she was reassigned to the Pacific and served as a command ship in the 7th Fleet. And they go on to give a few more stats about her. Steve wants to know, when was she decommissioned? Let's see if this says. when she was decommissioned. Da, 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 da. It doesn't say decommissioned. She was retired in 1988. And that's the last sentence in our little description on the flyer here. It says, when retired in 1988, everything was left on board as a time capsule, which you will see on the tour. Unfortunately, again, we didn't get to see the tour because they were not open. This here, this might have got, these are just out in the ocean. I don't think these are in the right order, but you get the idea. Yeah, the ship, I showed the ship too early. These are all the first day. This was sailing from Mobile to Key West. All these right here. And if you notice here on the funnel, this part, you can look inside. And that is the Spirit atrium. And it goes down. This would be deck 11. And you can look straight down. Deck 10 was like the fancy restaurant, and the uppermost deck that run from bow to stern. Well, not bow to stern, but upper deck. Think of boat deck on Titanic. That'd be the best way I could describe deck 10. You know, that's about the length it runs. But on the inside of deck 10, you had that was the big fancy restaurant. It was called Nouveau. And that's where you ordered the $50 steak. And it was a bare minimum $50 for regardless of whatever you ordered off the menu. I did not eat at that restaurant because all of our food was paid for. You know, there were all of the buffets on the ship were completely free. There was 3 restaurants you had to pay for. The sushi restaurant, Nouveau, the one I just described, and a seafood one. All the rest were free. But yeah, you look down here, and this goes all the way down to deck 2. And you've got glass elevators, some beautiful woodwork and whatnot lining it that you look at, you know, as you're going up and down in the glass elevator. This would be on the port side looking forward. I do not know what all these spheres are for. But this would have been either deck 11 or deck 12. If you look down here, you can see where these people are. That would be like deck 10. And again, think of that as boat deck on Titanic. That was about the length of what deck 10 ran. Now, moving on. This would be on the starboard side looking aft. And you can see there were 2 water slides right here towards the back of the ship, towards the end of deck 10. And of course, that was always where you saw a lot of kids right there. But also the stern was a bar and the adults only spot called Serenity. Steve saying SATCOM, PGS, GPS, they track with satellite. Okay. And, you know, there's the big funnel at nighttime. And guys, oh, wow. So, question for the group. How many of you have been on a ship this size or bigger and in the open ocean at night? How many of you have experienced that? Because that's interesting. The reason I ask is because, and I knew this before, but to actually see it and experience it is totally different. Other than the lights from the that are shining like on side the ship, and you can see the the wake on side of the ship, it is completely pitch black. I mean, when I say pitch black, you cannot see the horizon. You cannot see where the water and the sky meet. It's just black. Go in the darkest room you have in your house at night and shut all the doors, make sure there's no light peeping in anywhere. And that's what it was like. You cannot see anything. Okay, so as of right now, I'm the only one in here that has experienced that. So putting things in perspective, it is not at all difficult to understand why they were so late in spotting the iceberg for Titanic. I mean, it's just that pitch black. Steve's got a good one here. Some are for GPS navigation. Some are for communications from ship to shore, phone service, and also internet. Oh, and Steve has been on a ship out in the ocean at night. So, Steve, you can relate to what I'm talking about. That's another thing. Since you mentioned it, I will say this. When you go on a cruise, guys, I don't care how expensive the best internet package is, get it. Because if you have to be connected like me, you better get it. Because other than that, you can't really look at anything. It's other than Carnival's app that tells you, oh yes, Karen has too. Okay. So at least 3 of us have. Okay. Going back to at night. Oh, so here's some of the ships that Steve has been on. QE2, Windward, and I'm going to probably butcher that last one. Zuiderdam. I'm probably butchering that. But yeah, get the absolute best internet package. If you have to stay connected like me, you will not regret it. And you guys can see in this picture. So here I am. We're about midship right here. You can see a pool behind me. There were 2 pools on the ship. The forward one also had a hot tub attached to it. Zuiderdam. Thank you, Steve. That's the phonetic spelling. Zuiderdam. So yeah, we're looking aft here. You can see the funnel behind me. You can see I've got a lanyard on me. And the way you get around the ship and have currency on the ship, you get a card like this, and that is your access to pretty much anything and everything on the ship. No, Mark, only the hot tub was heated. The pools were not heated. Steve, did you happen to notice how dark the ship is forward of the bridge at night? Yes. I most certainly did. But I think something just fell behind me. Oh well, the picture. Anyway, so yeah, what Carnival did was they whatever credit card you used to sign up with for everything, they took they like debited $200 off that card, and they assign it to your I think it was called the sign and sale card or the ship and sale card, something like that. This gets you in your room, and any money that you spend while on the ship, you use your card, and eventually when everything is done, you get the final bill. They deduct it from your card, and that's how currency on the ship works. And of course, okay, we're getting into Key West here. But anyway, that's how you essentially spend money on the ship. Mark wants to know, how expensive was the alcohol? So, and this is going to be one of the complaints I have about the cruise was, let me get my ugly face over here. We don't need to keep looking at that. You see it right here live. Oh, wait, that's my ugly face right there too. Let's go to a better picture. So that's in Key West. Oh, this is our cabin. So that picture was out of order. Cabin 7196. So people I was with, Mark, they bought the drink package, and they bought the which was like the sodas and stuff, and the alcohol package, which were 2 separate packages, very expensive. I did not buy them. We essentially used the the people that did have the package. We just kind of like basically mooched off their package. So, Steve, I must depart, but I'll watch this tomorrow. Hopefully, take care. No worries, Steve. Steve, we will see you on Wednesday. Looking forward to chatting with you on Wednesday. So, anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I essentially mooched off of the other people on the ship that had that package. My complaint is the pricing of those packages is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, really ridiculous. And people were bringing their own soft drinks onto the ship. I saw them in the cruise terminal with their own soft drinks. I did not know that at the time. The next time I do a cruise, I will definitely be bringing like my own sodas if that's what I want, because because you're not always in the same area with the people on board. They may be wanting to do other activities. You're not interested in what they're doing, and vice versa. So you can only meet up at certain times to get the alcohol that you want, or whatever. So in the future, I will definitely bring like my own soft drinks for sure. So anyway, this is our cabin. It was cabin 7196, deck 7, obviously. And you zoom in. Every morning, we had like a different little animal made of towels in the room after after housekeeping came through. And you can see that one is like an elephant. One day they had like a monkey hanging from the mirror right here. And every single day it was something different. A cool little concept. Mark says they probably want you to drink heavy, and that's why it's expensive. Well, I'm not going to drink heavy because it's expensive. If they want me to drink heavy, make it affordable. And that's another thing. If like you're in port and you can buy alcohol at the ports and you can bring it onto the ship, but they confiscate any alcohol that you bring onto the ship. Like say we're at Key West, and this is the backside. That's looking out towards our balcony right there. That's a beach in Key West. Say you buy alcohol at a shop in Key West. When you're going back on the ship, you're getting scanned with everything you leave off the ship with and everything you come on the ship with. If they see you have alcohol, they will confiscate. They will confiscate your alcohol, and you cannot have it back until you get back to port, like to leave the ship for good, the end of the voyage. This is at a beach in Key West, guys, and that scenery was absolutely mind-blowing. Let's see. So yeah, Key West was our first port. We did not do any excursions in Key West. What we did was, you can see like this little golf cart right here. So we rented this golf cart for the day, and we essentially drove that all around town. In Key West, it is legal to drive these on the street just like a regular car, and you have to obey all the traffic laws just like you were driving a real car. You have to park it like it's a real car. So we're going to look through some of the sites in Key West real quick. That's actually at the pier, of course, with our ship behind me. There's the Coast Guard ship again. Look at that little schooner out there in the water. And let's see. This is a fort out in Key West, and there will be a video, a standalone video with this fort. It's called Fort Taylor, and it's named after President Zachary Taylor. So you can expect a video on just this fort. And if you look over here, excuse me, off in the distance, there's our ship. We were the only ship at port that day. Matt wants to know, is that cart gas or electric? It was electric. Okay. And there I am looking down at the fort. It's a pretty big fort, and it's a state park, guys. And it was really, really nice. Very well kept up. Now, this picture may not look like much, but when you zoom in, it's kind of hard to see, but that's an iguana right there. And if you look down over here, that's another iguana right there. And that was like the third or fourth one we saw. There was actually one walking around the like on this this upper deck. You see where these people are right here. There was actually one walking around, but when one got too close, you know, the kids are all excited that are in there and they want to see it up close. They make a beeline for it. You know, they startled it and it jumped off. Don't know if it survived or not. I would imagine it did. Otherwise, it wouldn't have jumped. So it's just more pictures of the fort. And that picture of the beach we just saw, this is like in the same vicinity. You could walk to that beach that I just showed you from the fort right here. It's like there's a gate you got to go through, and it was $7 to get in, and that covers the fort and the beach. You know, $7. So here we are. It looks, this is late in the afternoon, getting ready to depart, or we are departing from Key West. Let's see, this is starboard looking forward. So it looks like the ship is making the turn to head out into sea in this photo. And I must have, that, I can clearly see some of these are out of order. And look at this bird. Just standing on the hood of that car. So this is at the park where Fort Taylor and the beach are. These things were just kind of randomly walking around. I do not know what type of bird this is. And yes, of course. So when in Rome, you know, Key West is known for key lime pie. So if you're in Key West, I mean, you got to do it. You got to go and try key lime pie. And that was pretty stinking good. Does the bird have one leg? No, I'm pretty sure it has more than one leg. And maybe it's like a flamingo and it keeps the other one like upright. I don't know. It certainly looks like it has one leg. If it does, I'd like to know how it got that way. But anyway, yeah, key lime pie, absolutely delicious, guys. That was amazing. And we had on the ship that day, Carnival's like, we're going to do key lime, their version of key lime pie, but it was more like key lime cake. This was essentially like a pudding and really more like a pie texture. Whereas what we had on the ship was like key lime cake, and it just wasn't that good. We've got a new person here. Shane, welcome to the channel. It says, my first cruise was on the Miracle, a Spirit class ship. It was a perfect intro into cruising. You know, I agree with that perfectly. So she, Miracle is a Spirit class ship, so she would be obviously a sister ship to Spirit. And like I said in the beginning, I don't know if you were here or not, but a lot of the people that were on our ship that had already been on larger ships were saying that they preferred the Spirit in one way, in that you didn't have as many lines to wait for different things, you know, for the food and whatnot. Whereas on the larger ships, you know, you've got lines from here to Kingdom Come. Matt, I'd like to find out what type of bird. go back and watch the replay when we're done, Matt, and see if maybe you can figure it out and let us know. Let's see, buddy, what's up? Welcome to the stream. I hope you guys, Shane, buddy, hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys had a great week. So this is arriving in Freeport in the Bahamas the next day. This is from the balcony of our ship, or from our cabin, cabin 7196. But he had a good Thanksgiving. Good. I'm glad to hear that. So yeah, this was extremely significant for me, guys, because and this is the terminal here, the Freeport terminal, because this is the first time in my life I ever stepped foot on non-American soil. Never been in another country before until this trip. I don't remember which. Oh, here we go. I was trying to see what ship this is. This was the only other ship in Freeport that day with us, the Norwegian Jade. And the thing with Freeport was where we did one of our excursions, and you're going to see some pictures of that coming up here. So we took like an open air tram around Freeport, did a couple of taste testing of a couple of different local things. This was a church in Freeport, and it was on our tour. And I forget the history behind it, but the driver, our tour guide, was explaining the significance of it, and it was pretty significant, as I remember. This is one of the places we went to. It was Lucaya Market, something like that. And that's our tour guide right there. And we did a taste test of conch salad. Now, I know you see, it looks like it says conch, but they kept pronouncing it conch, like with the H is silent. Buddy says, I would love to go on a cruise, but I will be too scared. If Olympic was around, I would be on it, but hope y'all had fun. There was nothing to be scared of at all, buddy. I never once feared for my safety for any reason on that ship. And this ship is a lot bigger than Olympic was, by the way. Shane wants to know, so did you catch the cruising bug? It only takes one time. So there were definitely, like with anything, you have your pros and cons with anything. But I would say the pros definitely outweighed the cons. And yes, I would definitely do another one. As to when, I don't know yet. That remains to be seen. But yes, I would certainly do another one. And here we are. This is conch salad. And I have to say, I was not really a fan. The meat that is in there, I found it to be kind of tough and chewy and lacking in flavor. There's also raw onion in there and a raw tomato. And I am not I personally do not care for raw tomato or raw onion. The only time I ever eat raw tomato and enjoy it is when I'm eating like hummus that's got, tomatoes and feta cheese and all the fixings in it. Other than that, I don't care for raw tomato. So it wasn't really my thing. Mark, I definitely go on Queen Mary too. Well, that makes two of us. I've told you guys what my dream vacation would be, my ultimate dream vacation, and it involves the Queen Mary too. Buddy wants to know, did I experience room service? We did not do room service, Buddy, for a couple of reasons. One, because it's extremely expensive, even, if you're ordering something off the buffet. And the vast majority, if not all of the food, with the exception of the main dining area, which was on deck 2 all the way aft, all of the food was on deck 9, 2 decks above us. So it was a whole lot easier, and we weren't that far from the stairs and the elevators. So it was like a 10-second walk to get from our room to the stairs in the elevator, go up 2 decks, and you have all the food right there. So we just did that. One of the other things we did try were Bahama Mamas. And it's like a mix of like different types of fruits. It's a very fruity drink. That was absolutely delicious. And again, it's like the key lime pie in Key West. You have to try key lime pie if you're going to Key West. You have to try Cajun food if you're coming to Louisiana. You have to try Bahama Mama in the Bahamas. And it was delicious. And in that place, you can see they were getting ready for Christmas. They're putting up their big Christmas tree right here. That was just some trinkets outside one of the gift shops that was at Lucaya. Shane, what was your favorite haunt? Let's see. What was your favorite haunt? I love the Red Frog Pub. Great time. So Shane, you've been on that ship as well, or does the Miracle also have the Red Frog Pub? Because Spirit definitely has Red Frog Pub. I did not spend a lot of time in the Red Frog Pub. I only remember going into it for one of the after parties for one of the live performances. As far as places I spent the most time at in the ship would have been up on deck 9, on deck 10 when I just wanted to like watch the ocean. I attended all of the live shows. So the Pharaoh's Palace, forwardmost section of the ship, was where that was at. Buddy's going to be right back fixing dinner burrito. I had Chinese for supper. So those would have been the places where I spent the most amount of time on the ship. As far as like getting our alcoholic drinks, I got all mine out of the casino, which, as you know, would be right by the Red Frog Pub. So this is continuing our open air tram ride. We were going up and down like all over the island, and this is one of the beaches. We did not stop and get out. We just kind of drove us by it so we could see it. Now, the thing about this island too, this island was, it's a lot larger than Nassau, even though Nassau is the capital and way more populated. This one, the island is, the population is a lot more sparse, and the island is not quite as well developed as Nassau is. Let's see. Okay, so what we're looking at here, this was like the excuse me, the I guess like the climax of the tour, for lack of a better word. This place was called Cooper's Castle, and it belonged to like essentially a self-made millionaire on the island. And it may not look very big in these photos, but it's actually pretty stinking huge. The gentleman's last name was Cooper, of course, hence the name Cooper's Castle. His wife passed away, I think around 2010, 2011, and he passed away just a few years ago. And this is this dome right here is a mausoleum where they are both buried at. And I know for sure one of their sons still lives on the property. He's got a smaller house over here on the right. That might be the roof for it right there. And there's just another shot of it. Absolutely beautiful house, as you can see. Quick drink, guys. 1 sec. So anyway, that was like essentially the highlight of the tour. After we saw that, we started heading back to the port. That's the tram that we rode in right there. And again, that's our tour guide right there. And guys, the weather could not have been more perfect for pretty much the entire trip. We had blue skies, a nice breeze, and calm seas pretty much the entire time. I'll get into like the one time where we didn't towards the end. At Freeport Harbor, there's our ship in the background. Okay, now we're would be our third stop, which would be Nassau, capital of the Bahamas. You can see there's my shirt right there. Been there, bought the souvenirs, bought the shirt, good to go. This is the Royal Caribbean Utopia of the Seas. And these ships are absolutely massive. They made ours look like a dinghy. Back here, you can see the big gaping hole. It's just like a giant cavern. And I guess it's like all sorts of amenities on the inside right there. I'm sure sailing on it and having just almost what seems like limitless things to do is pretty cool. But aesthetically, these things are absolutely hideous. No other way to put it. I'm sure they're fun as hell, but they're absolutely hideous. So when we were in Nassau, there were 6 ships, including ours, total in Nassau that day. And here's another Royal Caribbean. We've got the Allure of the Seas. Again, same thing as Utopia. Absolutely massive, absolutely hideous. I don't know who designed these things. This right here, from a distance, this thing looked really cool. And up close, it's kind of a letdown. It actually, from a distance, it actually looked like a real pirate ship was sailing into the port. But when you look here, you can see it just kind of looks like a modified tugboat. Shane says, ship spotting is always fun while in port. And Shane, we had a sister ship in port with us, and I'm pretty sure I've got pictures of it. There we are. So here's 2 other Carnival ships. We've got the Carnival Pride right here to the right, which is a sister ship to the Spirit. And then the larger Carnival Glory here. And you can see that one looks a bit more modern and a bit more hideous than the Pride, the Spirit, the Miracle. Thing about the Spirit class ships, one of the reasons why they look a bit more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Remember, these ships were built in the early 2000s, which was the same time Queen Mary II was built. Remember, Queen Mary II's maiden voyage was in 2004. And as we've often discussed on this channel, she's not only the last ocean liner, of course, as we know, the last true ocean liner on the planet. She's also one of the last good-looking ships on the planet, as far as these big cruise ships or ocean liners go. Oh, that's an interesting thing right there. We got to highlight that. I like this comment, Shane. Glory is my favorite. She made me fall in love with NOLA. For those who don't know, NOLA is New Orleans, Louisiana. Of course, you guys know. I'm from this area, and that's cool. I'd be interested in hearing about that. Did you sail on the Glory out of New Orleans, Shane? And if so, what about that experience made you fall in love with the city? I'd be curious to know. So let's see. Let's move on. So here's our ship right here. Here, it's funny. All the ships that were in Nassau that day, they all pulled straight forward into the dock. We were the only ship that turned around and backed into our dock. Don't know why, but it was pretty cool later on in the day, and I'm going to get into that. So let's see. Here's another shot of the Glory right here. That front end just does nothing for me. This whole section right here and this slope down here, aesthetically, it does nothing for me. Government says, "Sorry, I'm late." No worries. Welcome to the stream. Of course, the replay will be available on the channel. You can always go back and catch what you missed. This is in the port. So what we did in Nassau, I did not do any excursions in Nassau. Essentially, all I did was I walked around the cruise terminal because they have a huge one. Theirs was way bigger than the one in Freeport, and the immediate blocks that go into the city around the port. I mean, just tons of tourists everywhere. So I walked around a little bit in the city as well. You went on a plane for the first time in July. You're braver than me. I would feel more comfortable sailing across the Atlantic on a ship than flying in a jet. That's just me. Mark, get free beer. Well, you got to read the whole thing, Mark. Read the whole sign. Let's see. Let's move on. This is also at the port in Nassau. When you're looking, you can see right here that I'm essentially standing like on this little dock. And when you're looking over that railing right there and you're looking into the water, you see straight to the bottom. You can see the bottom. It's just crystal clear. It's unbelievable. In fact, it was funny. One of our tour guides, I think it was the one in Moon Cay, she said, for all of you wanting to collect the blue water, like in a water bottle or something, don't bother. It's clear. It's not blue. The blue is a reflection. A government went to the Caribbean. Excellent. I mean, we were essentially in the Caribbean. Bahamas are in the Caribbean. This is one of the downtown streets in Nassau. And again, this is pretty close to where the terminal is. Yep, and that's just kind of, like I said, I just kind of walked back and forth on the streets. I never ever ventured far away from the tourist areas. Let's see. No government. I won't be able to guess. I apologize. Let's see. Let's see. What do we have here? Sailed the Valor twice and Glory once out of New Orleans. People there were amazing and never had any problems checking in at the port. Plus, love sailing the Mississippi. Well, that's great, Shane. I'm glad to hear that was a good experience for you. Next time you're out here, if you're a history buff, I highly recommend checking out the National World War II Museum. It's one of the absolute best museums in the country. You will not regret it. Okay. Okay, let's move on. And this guy was just walking up and down the streets with those two parrots in his hand, which I just thought was really cool. So right here, after I got back onto the ship, because I spent several hours out in Nassau. Mike, welcome, says, I've been to the Bahamas 4 times. Nice. This was my first. Government, you've been to Puerto Rico. Excellent. So after we got back on I got back on the ship, ate lunch. This is on the stern of our ship looking aft. And, yeah, duh, looking aft, you're on the stern, stupid. But anyway, this was the view. So on our ship, along the backs and the back side of the ship, you had like these giant chairs. They were shaped like clamshells. And realistically, when I say giant, you could fit 2 or 3 people on them. Well, anyway, I got back on the very back of the stern, claimed one of those things, and this was my view, guys. And I probably napped for a couple of hours with that as my view. Of course, I had the Utopia here kind of blocking part of my view, Utopia of the Seas. Let's see. Okay, so we're getting into okay. That's a bummer. I thought I had some pictures of us leaving Nassau. Essentially, when we started leaving Nassau, it was late in the evening, and we actually followed some of the Royal Caribbean ships out of port, and the Carnival Pride. We were like the second to last ship to leave port. So we had all these other ships. We're watching them back out of their piers, turn themselves around, and head back out of port. I'm glad you asked that question, Mark. Here we are. No boat drill. There was no lifeboat drill at all, Mark. When we got on ship, they told us to go to our muster station, which was, according to my little card here, B. They told us how to put the life jacket on, and that was it. That was all they did. So here we are. We're getting into Half Moon Cay, and this was the our last port. And there is no pier at Half Moon Cay. And by the way, Carnival owns the entire island. So we had to take tenders. So think of Nomadic and Traffic sailing up to Olympic and Titanic and unloading people and baggage and all that. That's essentially what we did. So that was pretty cool. And this is two of the tenders right here coming to pick up people. And here we are on the tender on the side of our ship heading into Half Moon Cay. And it's like this little channel, and you can see the ship off in the distance. You go around this little, essentially like a curve that's in this channel, and you unload at the docks there. Here we are, and this is Thanksgiving Day, by the way, guys. This was my Thanksgiving Day on the beach at Half Moon Cay, Carnival's private island. You can see our ship behind me. And again, with the water, you see straight to the bottom. It's just so crystal clear. It's disgusting. Another shot of the ship behind us. Oh, here's an interesting comment. What does Mike here say? Mike says, love the cruise, going on my 15th cruise in April to Hawaii. Pride of America around all the islands. You know, Mike, that is going to be the only way I ever get to Hawaii is to take a cruise, because I am absolutely terrified of heights. So I probably won't ever fly to Hawaii. Karen says, when I went on my cruise and saw people wearing life jackets, I wanted to get the heck out of there. We didn't even put life jackets on for our drill. The instructor she had one on, and she told us how to put it on, and that was it. So this is the very small cruise terminal at Half Moon Cay. They've just got these cool little signs telling you how many miles to each place. You know, Tokyo 8,645 miles, London 4,451 miles, New York 1,121 miles. Curtis, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Hope you had a good week. So we're just going through some of the photos here. And again, same sign, different angle right here. And what we're seeing right here is this was one of the excursions you could do. And we did a tour around the island for Half Moon Cay, much like what we did in Freeport. So let's see. So what you're looking at here is, of course, obviously our ships over there in the background. One of the excursions you could do is ride these horses in the surf. And this little box right here, I don't know what, please do not walk behind the horse. This is where you would get on and off of the horses. Shane says, only on a cruise can you visit multiple international destinations while only unpacking once. Truth. Very true. Now, this was another excursion. Again, we did not do this, but if you zoom in right here, this is like the stingray petting. And what that black spot is right there, that's one of the stingrays swimming around. This is this is in a lagoon off the beach, and you can see how they got it basically fenced off. And what you did was you pay for the excursion, of course, and the stingrays have their barbs removed, and you can see all these dark spots in the water. Those are the stingrays. The stingrays are very friendly to people. They were bred in captivity, and they're friendly to people because anytime people are coming into the water, they know they're going to get fed. So you can pet them and all that stuff. Billy, what's up? How are you doing? How was your Thanksgiving and your week been, my friend? Karen says, this is what I would love to do. Yeah, a lot of people enjoyed that one. And this was just a little cool trail walking down to the lagoon. This is right by where you'd go to the stingrays. Mike says, been all over the Caribbean. Bahamas was the prettiest water. Yes, definitely. Couldn't agree more. And this, I am actually in the water at this point, guys. I'm standing in the water. We have like these little, I don't know what the right word is, but basically like these waterproof Ziploc bags that we put our phones in. And that way you could film underwater. So that's what we did. I got it. In fact, if you go look at the channel, some of the shorts I put out, you can see where one of them, I'm actually standing here. I've got a shot of the ship, and then I take it underwater, and you can see the sand and all that, the beautiful white sand in the bottom of the water. And that was how I spent my Thanksgiving, guys. Matt has given us a super chat of $2. Matt, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Great stream. Well, I'm glad you were able to come and hang out with us. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Most certainly appreciate it. That all the money for the super chats, guys, goes into paying for the StreamYard software that we are using to do the live streams. It's so much better than the stuff I was using before to do the live streams. It's so much more easy on my computer. It's user-friendly. It's efficient. And that's what the vast majority of all the super chat money goes to. So thank you again, Matt. Truly appreciate that. I don't think so, Billy. I don't think so. That water looks just like the bayou. Not quite. Buddy says, rate your cruise 20 out of 20. 18. I'll give it a solid 18. Yes, Shane. You can tell you had a great time. Thrilled that you took lots of pics. So fun to share. I did, Shane. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said in the beginning, there are pros and cons, but for me, the pros definitely outweighed the cons. And I'll definitely do another one. I just don't know when, because I've got a bucket list, guys. You know, we all have bucket list things of things that we would love to see and do. And a cruise was one of the top on my bucket list. But now that I've done one, there's still other bucket list items that I want to do within the United States. So maybe do another one next year. I don't know. I'm not one who really plans far in advance, with the exception of this cruise. We planned it like a year and a half in advance. I'm kind of more of a wing it and let things come as they may sort of guy. So it's definitely going to happen again. That's for sure. Oh, buddy, I wish I could go on a cruise, but I'm crazy at my own home. Am I right? Well, you know, if you don't mingle well in public, cruise may not be the best thing for you. Matt says, I want to cruise to Alaska. I would love to cruise to Alaska. Oh, so fun story about this right here. So we're back on the ship, obviously. We are leaving Half Moon Cay at this point. And someone had, earlier in the day, someone had a medical emergency on the island. Still do not know exactly what that emergency was. But essentially what happened, the decision was made that we were going to go back to Nassau, drop this individual off at Nassau, and then go continue on back home. So they kicked it in the butt. Captain Sal had us full throttle. We were going 20, 22 knots where their ship stop speed was. Well, later in the night, the ship's doctors determined that the person would be able to make it to Mobile and stay on the ship. So they slowed us down big time after that point. So yeah, that was our last port, and we are on our way home. These are two of the performers. The stage performances, the live shows, there were 4 or 5 of them on the whole trip. It was an 8-day cruise. The whole crew, they were absolutely incredible. And I think it was Shane asking me about the Red Frog Pub. Shane, this was the one night where I spent any time of significance in the Red Frog Pub, because some of the cast, including these two, after the show, they went to like an after party at the Red Frog Pub. And right outside the Red Frog Pub is where I got this picture of them. This is up on deck 9 by the aftmost pool. You can see there's the big screen right there. The burger stand was over here off to this side, and the taco burrito stand is right here. Let's see. Shane says, can I suggest if you port from NOLA, try the Mexican Yucatan? The Mayan ruins are amazing. Culture and tequila, perfect combo. That's on my list, Shane. I believe also, isn't it in Progreso where you've got the pyramids with like the steps going up them? That's a bucket list thing for me. Buddy, question, if Titanic 2 does happen, will you go on it or see how it goes first? There will not be a Titanic 2, buddy. That Clive Palmer's been talking about doing that for over 10 years now. Titanic 2 is not happening. So this is in the Pharaoh's Palace. This is on decks 2, 3, and 4 in the forwardmost section of the ship. This is where all the live shows were. You can see here, we were there for the military appreciation gathering, which they do on every cruise. Absolutely loved that, by the way. You guys know I'm a big supporter of the military. We have a loved one that's in the armed forces. This is a couple of shots of the lose my train of thought here, of the Pharaoh's Palace. Matt says, what if it does happen? Would you go? Matt, it's not happening. Titanic 2 is not happening. I mean, other than that god-awful movie that came out years ago that is essentially the Queen Mary, Titanic 2 is not happening. So yeah, that is where all the live performances were. And we spent the last 2 days at sea, and those were part of it, by the way, in the ocean, heading back to Mobile. The only time we ever had any rough weather, the Friday and the Saturday were 2 full days at sea, heading back to Mobile. The Friday evening and Saturday morning, we had some rough weather. And that was the only points in the entire voyage where we had not great weather. And for me, I stayed up on deck 10 outside because it was easier for me to cope with like the seasickness. I wasn't like vomiting, puking my guts up, anything like that, but it was making me very, very nauseous. It was throwing my equilibrium off. And I found when I was in the lower decks, I felt it more than what I did on the upper decks. So until I got over it, I stayed up on the upper decks, particularly deck 10. That was the last sunset that we saw before getting back to port. That was Saturday evening, somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico. I think we had just rounded Key West, or we had passed Key West by this point, like heading back. Sun going down for the final time on our cruise. And that is the last photo right there. Of course, I took way, way more photos than this, but these are the ones that I felt were most significant to show you guys what all we did. Sorry, need a drink. Very true. Very true, Shane. Last sunset is so melancholy. Back to the real world soon. And it has taken me the entire week to readjust back to the real world, guys, because I mean, I've been on vacations before. I don't think I had ever been on a vacation for that long, though, not 8 days. So it took me a while to get reacclimated to like my daily routines and all that stuff. But that is my cruise right there, guys. That is how I spent Thanksgiving. That's how I spent my first cruise. And that's what I got for you guys for this week. So as you can see right there on the ticker, our regular History TV format returns next Wednesday. Steve will be joining us from the Queen Mary, guys. So keep that in mind. We're going to be live together, and Steve is going to be on the Queen Mary. So you don't want to miss that. History TV returns next Wednesday. We got one more comment in here that we need to look at. Shane says, did you experience sea legs once you got back? First time took me a couple of days of swaying back and forth. No, Shane, I did not. Surprisingly, no. And I know some other people did because there's still a Facebook group for the cruise, and some people were saying that the day after. I did not experience that at all, surprisingly. I thought for sure I would. Also, guys, before we go, remember to have notifications turned on for the channel if you do not, because there may or may not be an on-location stream tomorrow. And I may or may not be on a ship when I do it. So keep that in mind. It won't be a cruise ship, but maybe another ship. So that is it for this week, guys. Buddy, does anyone remember the Costa Concordia? I don't think anyone can forget the Costa Concordia. Shane, it was nice visiting. Welcome to the cruise live. Shane, thank you. Welcome to the channel. And I hope you'll hang out and check out some of the content. We normally do a live stream every Friday evening at 7 o'clock Central Time. Things have been kind of out of whack this month and last month because of the holidays. That tends to happen. But that is normally what we do. In fact, content schedule is as follows. Our random video short of the day is Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Central Time. The video of the week is 7 o'clock every Friday morning, which is a full-length video. And our live streams normally are every Friday evening, 7 o'clock Central Time for 1 hour. But as you can see again on the ticker, History TV returns next Wednesday, not Friday. Keep that in mind, folks. Again, might have an on-location stream tomorrow, so make sure you got notifications turned on. So thanks, guys, for hanging out with me, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Welcome to all of our newcomers. I hope you guys liked this, and I hope you will stick around and check out some future streams and check out some of the content on the channel as well. Like I said, we've got a big one next Wednesday. Collaboration stream with one of our friends coming to us live at the Queen Mary. So that wraps us up for this week, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out, and appreciate you guys as always. And until the next time, you guys know the drill, and it is drive safely.